I was on social media recently and I have been stumbling across a lot of different creators. So I really liked this dude, Tanner, and he has a TikTok page and an Instagram page. He's the Caffeinated Electrician. So if any of you guys are out there that are like familiar with him, I think he's a really great person in general, but I like his content. This was his first chance going to NECA ever, and I was there. So I was like, dude, let's just sit down and have a conversation. So this is that conversation.
Oh man, well I guess if I had to start anywhere, I would probably like to just start by acknowledging everything that you personally have done, you know, for this industry. I mean, what year did you start on YouTube? Was it 2015, 2016? Okay, so almost a decade, right? And I began my electrical journey end of 2017, beginning of 2018 timeframe. And I remember it was before I even started my apprenticeship, actually. I was still just a day one greenhorn. And I don't even know what it was. It was something stupid, like some dumb first year question that I had, like, what is a volt or something like that? Like
yeah, we all have those questions.
And that might not be it, but I remember it was a very, very basic question, and I just Googled it. And Electrician U happened to be the very first result. And, you know, I clicked on it. And, you know, what's going on? It's Dustin Stelzer from Electrician U, and today we're talking about...
That's so funny.
And,
like,
you know,
memorize the intro.
Well, I mean, it was such an iconic intro, you know, at the start of your social media career. And, you know, it just kind of snowballed from there. I watched that video, and, you know, I started scrolling through, and you know, I'd watch this video, then I'd watch that video, and I started telling my friends that were, you know, also brand new in the industry, like, hey, have you guys seen Electrician U on YouTube? Like, no. Well, we should go check it out. You know?
That's awesome.
These guys, yeah, I mean.
Well, what got you into creating content for yourself? Because like obviously now you're in a teaching role and you've got enough experience, you're a master electrician. Was it like once you got your master license, you're like, I want to teach, or how did it happen?
You know, it actually kind of just fell into my lap. So I got my master license in March of last year, so March of 2024.
Okay.
And I think it was end of April time frame. I still had my day job, but then I ripped off that Band-Aid and decided, you know what? I'm going all in. I have, you know, a couple of new constructions lined up. I'm just going to see what happens. And so I dumped a pretty good amount of my money and time into, you know, getting that business started up.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was June timeframe, June of last year, that my old apprentice coordinator, so I went through the IEC apprenticeship in Dayton, Ohio. Okay. And my old apprentice coordinator called me and said, we had too many first years sign up for this coming year. We need a third first year instructor. They only had 2 classes previously, you know, because if they had 36 students sign up, you know, 18 would go to this classroom and 18 would go to that classroom, and that's how it went. But they had like over 50 kids sign up.
Whoa.
Most of which were directly out of high school. And she said, would you be willing to take this position? And I said, well, honestly, I don't know. At that point in time, you know, I didn't make content. I had never taught anything outside of just that left seat, right seat type deal on the job site. You know, like if I was a 4th year apprentice or even as a journeyman and I had like a 1st or a 2nd year apprentice with me, I'd, you know, hey man, this is how you do this. That was about the extent of my teaching at that point in time. Yeah. But I went home and I talked to the wife about it, and I just came to the conclusion. I said, what the hell, you know? If I hate it, then, you know, I'll finish the year out to the best of my ability, and that'll be the end of it. And if I like it, then I'm going to keep going. And so we had, I would say, a really good first year. I mean, obviously, everyone's going to make some mistakes. Yeah. And, you know, it took a lot of trial and error for me to find my style, I guess you could say. My first couple of classes, I was very...
Yeah.
You know, and then
did they make you go through any kind of training on like, this is our curriculum and the way we want you to teach, or is just you hop into class and
that To be honest, I don't know if they do have that, but the fact that this was the apprenticeship that I had just graduated from, and not only that, my classroom that I teach in was the classroom that I sat in as a fourth-year apprentice.
Okay.
So like and not only that, the instructor portal at IEC is identical to the student portal. There just is also a button for attendance, grades, instructor resources, whatever, but it's the same thing. So I was able to step in as an IEC instructor and say it was no big deal.
Okay.
Because I knew the curriculum, I knew the system, how it was set up. Now, ABC, I also teach at ABC. We're getting to that in a second. That's an entirely different story. But I would say all things considered, the first year went very well. And I mean, at the end of the year, I mean, this is how much of an impact I feel like I had on my students' lives. One student even came up and gave me this book as like a thank you gift at the end of the year. It's The Inventions, Researches, and Writings of Nikola Tesla. But yeah, I finished the year out strong, and they, well, strongish, is about as strong as you can for it being your first year doing it.
You were happy with it yourself?
I was pleased with it. I was pleased with, the mistakes that I did make. I was able to reflect on it and say, okay, all right, next year I'm going to do this a little bit differently and just keep working towards refining my craft as an instructor. So they invited me back for another year. We just started 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. We're pretty early on in the school year now, but over the summer, I got a call from Ohio Valley ABC. They are also at the Sinclair Community College in Dayton, where my apprenticeship is. And so I'm already on staff as an adjunct faculty in the electrical engineering department at Sinclair. So I didn't even have to get hired. Wow. All I had to do was give a thumbs up, and they were just going to add it, to my class schedule. So I teach first and third year for Ohio Valley ABC now, in addition to being a first year instructor at IEC. And that one's a little bit more challenging because they use a different curriculum that I'm not familiar with. And it's not necessarily the curriculum that's difficult, it's the system, like having to assign tests and whatnot on the computer. And
so like a learning management software.
Yes, learning their software has been a big challenge, but the curriculum's good. It's just I'm having to make those necessary adjustments, trying to learn from scratch essentially. So
yeah.
But
well, dude, you have something that I don't have, and I've never had to teach a class like in front of a whole class of people. Oh, and that's something I've been really interested to do. That's
something that I was getting at a minute ago. How my first couple classes, I was very just roboto, and it was like the third or fourth class. I just walked in, got behind the lectern, and I just leaned in and was looking at the class, and I just said, "Screw it. I'm done trying to be Mr. Prim and Proper. I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to just be real with the students.
Yeah,
be myself."
Yeah, that's the
not only that, but just try to be the instructor that I wish I had. And that's not to say I had great instructors.
Yeah.
So that's not a dig at. I still talk to a lot of my former instructors. I respect the hell out of them. A couple of them are actually the reason that I passed my master license exam on my first try. But I'm just saying, I have to think back to when I was an apprentice. What do I wish that my instructor would have done differently? And if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's really important too, because like I came across your content a little while ago, and I've seen it come up, and I'm just not on social media enough, so I'm a terrible social media guy. I don't interact a lot online. But I do keep seeing your videos, and it's Caffeinated Electrician, and there's, pot of coffee, and there's videos where you're like, I'm about to piss off the entire electrical industry with this. I'm like, I like this guy. Let me see what you have to say.
Rage bait.
Yeah, but what I
rage bait.
Yeah, but what I like about it is you're just you.
Yeah.
Right? And I think with my videos, I try to just be me too. And sometimes that doesn't align with maybe some partnerships or corporate things, right?
Yeah.
I had a lot more foul mouth at the beginning of this than I ever did, but.
Yeah, I can stand to make those changes as well. I'm bad about it too.
Yeah. But no, really, I just wanted to kind of share who you are with other people. And I think that you're doing a really good job.
And, that really does mean a lot, because like I said, I came across your content very early on in your career when, I was a day one greenhorn, and, fast forward, this is 8 years later, and now I'm sitting next to you, and I'm kind of like trying to do the same thing, not necessarily the same thing, but I'm trying to do something similar where I just want to take to the internet and help as many new guys out as I possibly can. And so, you know, on that note, I would like to thank you for that. You know, it does really mean a lot.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like you're right where I was. Like when I started, I got my master license and immediately started my own company and just started filming.
Yeah.
And so I was at that level where I was like, okay, I have 7 subscribers. And then I was like, oh, I got 500, holy crap. You know, after like week and week and week after doing this. So it's just cool to kind of see you on your path. You seem very relaxed. It's obvious you teach because you have a camera. You seem like pretty confident that you can do that. What's your favorite thing to talk about? Like, you seem to talk a lot about code, there's theory, but you do some demonstrations. So what do you like the most?
Well, if you want to know what topic I have absolutely beat to death on my channel, it's voltage drop.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's the first video. Well, that topic was the first video just the other day that I had ever like commented on your stuff.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah. It was my voltage drop is Ohm's Law video, and I have to give Steve credit for that, Stephen J. 120 volts.
Follow him if you don't. Check him out on TikTok.
In school, we're all taught, you know, 2 times the K constant times amperage times the length divided by circular mil area. That's the voltage drop formula. Yeah. You know, we're taught how to go to chapter 9, table 8, get that information, plug and chug. There's your answer. But Steve told me, think about it. It's Ohm's law in a series circuit where load number 1 is just the resistance of that ungrounded conductor. Load number 2 is the resistance of the load you're actually feeding, and load number 3 is the resistance of your grounded conductor. And he said, work it out as if, you know, you were doing a series calculation in school. And I did, and I was like, holy crap. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So,
you know, the biggest thing with voltage that I hear, and this took me many years to figure out, is that EMF's not actually real. It doesn't go to Newtonian physics, so EMF's actually not a thing.
Yeah.
And then when you start to look into what voltage is, a lot of people, it's like, it's just this number that we get when we touch these things. And it's like, voltage is actually energy transfer. And a lot of people don't understand that when we think current is this like super important thing. It's like amperes of current. It's like, what is it? It's actually an accumulation of charges that are moving, but that's not the important part. The important thing is that when charges move, they carry energy with them. So everything in a circuit, I don't think a lot of people, until they get later in their career, understand that like power generation, it's about flowing of energy, and current travel is flowing of energy, and voltage is the amount of energy for every like group, every coulomb of charges. So it's all energy. And I don't hear a lot of people teaching anything about from an energy standpoint.
Oddly enough, IEC touches on that in like the first or second week of first year. And
that's great.
I like it, but at the same time, I kind of wish they would hammer that in 4th year.
Yeah.
And here's why.
It's lost on a lot of...
Yeah. Week number 1, we're taught, do you know how many electrons are flowing through a given point in a split second in time when there is exactly 1 ampere of current?
6.24 quintillion.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Well, yeah, I was going to say 6 quintillion, 240 quadrillion, but yeah, exactly. And I completely forgot about that. After I learned it as a first-year apprentice, I forgot about that until week number 1 of teaching last year. Oh yeah, now I remember. I forgot about that, you know, whereas I feel like if that would have been later on in the apprenticeship, maybe that number would have stuck with me.
Yeah, I think about that a lot too, because what we're trying to build right now is we're trying to figure out what is a good curriculum that like every electrician could use, every school could use, every business could use. What's the order of things to teach people? And I feel like a lot of the concepts that I want to talk about are super heady and engineering level. Yeah. And I think if you start out, it's just going to be lost on so many people. So when you find that you're teaching like Ohm's law, or you're teaching just any kind of basic theory stuff, do you guys wait till 2nd year and do you focus on code 1st year? Like, how do you do it?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of ABC. They use NCCER, so I'm kind of navigating that curriculum as we go. This is my 1st year with them. As for IEC, 1st year is kind of a healthy mix of introduction to theory, Ohm's law, A little bit of branch circuit load calculations, residential service calculations, like just
First year doing resi service calculations?
yeah, but just I mean we don't get too crazy with it. It's just like okay, you
square foot house.
yeah, 1,500 square foot house. You have gas heat. I mean here's figure that out, and then they dive into. Well, I don't want to say residential because find where it talks about residential in the NEC. They go over code requirements for dwelling units. So we spend a fair amount of time in 210.52, 210.70, 210.11. We go over ground fault requirements, obviously.
How much time is spent actually materials, hands-on stuff versus just classroom teaching on a board?
Well, for IEC, over the course of 4 years, I know it's, 695 hours in the classroom, I think. But I think only about 30 of that is actual lab hours.
Okay.
I wish we would spend more time in the lab, but it's just, you only have them for three and a half hours in an evening. And when you have this much to go over, it's really hard to, devote a certain time to being in the lab.
Yeah, I think the ideal thing would be as if it was a 50-50 split where it's like 50% of the time I'm going to teach you about a bunch of stuff and then now we're going to go apply that 50 to like something fun.
Yeah.
Because 3.5 hours in an evening after you've worked all, these kids get tired and like.
Yeah, and so that's why I make it a point to try and be as energetic as possible. And obviously I try to read the room, like if break time technically isn't for another 15 minutes, but I see everyone just all right, it's time to get up and go to the restroom, go get you a Coke out of the vending machine. We'll see you in 10 minutes. So I have to feel it out, but that's why I try to stay as engaging as possible. I pick on everybody equally, when we're going over the homework or whatever. Like can you tell me, where can I find GFCI requirements for a dwelling unit or something like that? Mind you, this is first year, but and I'll just pick on random people like you. Where can I find this in the code? Or maybe if we're talking about voltage drop, hey, can you refresh my memory? What's the voltage drop formula? And things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Even as a 40-year-old man in like college classes right now, I'm taking classes to get a degree in electrical engineering. I don't want to be an engineer per se. I just want the knowledge. So
knowledge is power.
All of the math. And I had this Calculus 1 teacher who is the most amazing teacher I've ever had in my life about any topic ever, period. And this dude, nobody was safe. Yeah. So he would be lecturing, he would constantly ask everybody all the time, like he would pull you in.
He challenged you.
So you had to be ready, you had to be paid and engaged because you didn't want to look like an idiot, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just the best way of teaching. And then Calculus 2 was not that at all. It was like perhaps the one class that everybody needs to have the best teaching, and I didn't have a good teacher at all. And so it was really awful, but I have to go through all this teaching. And so I've made the decision from here on out, this one Calc 1 teacher is the only math teacher I ever want to have again. So I will adjust my life to make sure that I get this man to teach me every single time.
That's how I felt with my calculus teacher in high school, Mrs. Marshall. She was incredible. I mean, heck, I talked to her on Facebook the other day. And, she was my teacher 12 years ago. But
how old are you, by the way?
28.
You're 28?
Yes, sir.
You look at least 50.
Well, I guess I have kids.
No.
I have kids, 3 classes. Electrician U got me through my apprenticeship, and Michael got me my master's.
Yeah. No, me too. Embarrassingly enough, I was like on my honeymoon studying. I had just gotten married and I was like, I need to ace this, and this is my career and this is how we eat. So I was like, every day I was cracking books and I was making all my own versions of things and trying to, every magazine article, all the
weeks leading up to, going in to sit for your exam. Like if you really, really care, it's stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, you could ask my wife, especially the last 2 weeks. It was every night till 1:30 in the morning. I'm just like frantically flipping through these books, like ripping my hair out, like, oh my God.
Did you get to the point when you were taking the test though, where you thought you were good and then you get into the test and you're like, oh yeah, shit, I'm gonna fail this.
Yeah, yeah. My contractor exam more so than the master exam. I mean, like I didn't ace the electrical exam. I got like an 83, which it passed, but the contractor exam, I read my business and law book cover to cover 3 times. I wish I would have read it 6 times, because especially all the annexes in the back. with tax laws, lien laws, workman's comp, things like that. Because like question number 1, I would read it and just immediately brain fart, and I'd just click next, next. Next. Oh shit. Okay, this is not gonna go well. I barely passed. I got a 74. Oh, wow. So,
yeah, I think 80 on mine. I did the same, and I just felt so prepared, and I think I was super prepared on theory, and I still felt really confident with code, but it was all of these weird extraneous things that only now, as I've spent days, years, months in and out of the code book to try to explain it in videos, that I finally understand the depth and context of where things in and why it all works.
Like, I'm comfortable teaching apprentices. But everyone keeps saying, oh, you should look into teaching like CE courses, and I'm like, I am not there yet. Right now, there's a saying, and I want to know if you've ever heard this and if you agree with it or not. You never know how much you don't know about something until you try to teach it to somebody who's just now hearing it for the first time.
That's why I think every journeyman needs to be a teacher. They need to have apprentices under them.
And being an instructor has forced me to, stay sharp. It has forced me into this position where I have to understand things to the best of my ability in order to provide an accurate and easy to understand explanation to guys that have never heard this before. Like the guys in my classroom, they have never heard the definition of what a watt is. They have never heard of voltage drop. They don't know what an AFCI is, let alone how it works. Like, Yeah,
and another saying that's kind of similar to that is you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So a lot of us don't realize, we think we know stuff. We think we know theory. And the more you start having to teach stuff, you have to start thinking of analogies and explanations, because not every student's the same. So not everyone's going to understand your weird way of explaining it. And if you're not good and it takes a lot of words to explain something, it means you don't understand it thoroughly enough to be able to communicate it simply.
That is true.
Just teaching, I think, allows you to really be like, okay, I need to study to be a good teacher. I need to study this material a lot.
I've literally driven home from class on Monday and Wednesday nights, radio off, just in dead silence, just one hand on the steering wheel, the other hand just kind of thinking, reflecting on how that class went. And like, there's always one thing that bothered me, and I'll just sit and I'll just think and beat myself up. Like, okay, how could I have explained that better? I feel like the class could have gone better. What should I have done differently? I've gone into the next class before and immediately started with, hey guys, so I wanted to have a do-over on last week's lesson. Here's a better way of explaining this. But like, I beat myself up over stuff like that, and I realize it sounds stupid, but I feel like I'm doing my students a disservice by not trying to be the best that I can possibly be.
And it's only going to push you to be a better teacher. Have you ever gotten to the point where you want to start studying teaching? I went to Chad German's a friend of mine. He's
Utah. I'll see him in December.
And he is an administrator in Utah for apprenticeship programs at MTech, which is, I guess, Mountain Lion Technical College. He allowed me to go to his classes and just kind of see how things are taught. And they have this great thing called layers of learning. And it's where you do all these various different things to kind of reinforce a concept. So instead of just following PowerPoints and not really interacting with the kids, or maybe calling on someone and then the class is over, it's like you just deliver all of these different things to reinforce it. So by the end, it sinks the information in, and some of it's gamified, some of it's super interactive and funny and weird. And they did a sample of this as a demonstration. So it was all the instructors were in a class, and like one of the head instructors was teaching, this is what layers of learning is. I'm going to teach you Spanish, and by the end of this, you're going to understand a whole bunch of words of Spanish. And so it was just showing them how we would do it in electrical, but it was just an amazing thing. And so that got me to be really interested in finding books about education and how to connect education to people. So it's another thing to have to study outside of electrical, but it's important, I think.
I agree. I really, really need to start devoting more time to looking into things like that, because at this point, I'm convinced that, as long as there's an availability with IEC and ABC, as long as they'll have me, I'm just going to keep doing it, I've almost feel like I've kind of found new purpose in life through education, you know. As weird as that might sound, I didn't realize just how much I enjoyed helping the younger guys out and having a positive impact on their life until, you know, this past year. I mean, hell, I've got probably 3 or 4 students in particular from this past year where I'd be okay with being their friends for the rest of their life, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone in my class was good, but like once you realize what kind of an impact you've had on somebody, like that just, it meant so much to me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so to kind of wrap this up, I have 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
The first is, what would you tell students out there? What's something that you do tell students out there to get them to a better place? Like,
as
if
far
they're
as
struggling maybe, and maybe just some words of wisdom to help them through school.
Well, on that note, I'll tell you what one of my classroom rules is: ask the question. And I'll tell you why that's my classroom rule. When I was a first-year apprentice, I refrained from asking questions because I was afraid that if I, you know, asked for clarification on something, the guy sitting next to me would go, "Are you serious right now?
Right.
Are you stupid?"
Yeah.
You know?
You don't want to be stupid.
I was afraid of this judgment, and as a result, it put me in a really difficult position for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year of my apprenticeship. So what I said on day 1 was, and I looked at everyone in the eye and I said, we are all first year apprentices. Nobody in this classroom is above anyone else, myself included. I am not above you guys. We are all here to learn together. If you don't know something or you don't understand something, I need you to speak up, because you guys on this half of the room might know something that this half doesn't know, and you guys on this half of the room might know something that this half doesn't know. And that's why we need to identify our deficiencies so that we can all get on the same page.
Absolutely.
Right? You're only doing yourself a disservice by not asking for clarification, right?
Yeah.
And number 2, something that I always tell my students: never, ever, ever let the curiosity die. Always question everything you know and everything you think you know, right? Mm-hmm. Never stop trying to learn. The minute your education stops, so does the progression of your career, no matter how far you make it, right? Like, you and I are in the same boat. We have our master licenses, right? Master and contractor licenses. I still try to learn something new every day. I'm at the point now where I'm questioning everything I think I know, because I still feel like even on basic topics, there are certain things where I could stand to learn something.
I think remaining a student your entire career, and even with the title of master, every master has a master. And as soon as you think you're a master of something, you've stopped progressing. You got to be a little bit more humble and constantly seek. And there needs to be wonder. You always have to have wonder around you. Otherwise, the fire kind of stops.
Yeah, you can ask Steve, you know, when I'm tinkering out in my garage, you know, after the kids go to bed, I'm trying to come up with, you know, what experiment can I film and put on the channel? And I'll have Steve on the phone sometimes and be like, "Hey man, what do you think would happen if I took a whole bunch of wire and wrapped it around some rebar and energized it? Do you think it would blow up?" I mean, just stupid things, but it's just me trying to, you know, get a better understanding of theory. And I've been trying my hardest to create a transformer out of things I have in my garage. I keep failing. Eventually I will get it. I want to create one so badly so that I can demonstrate the principles of counter EMF, you know, on a video. But I mean, that's just one example of just never let the curiosity die. I'm out here in my garage several nights a week, still trying to get a better understanding of electricity and code and just about anything else you can think of.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so the other final question is, if somebody's a brand new instructor, maybe they're a 3rd year and they're trying to teach a class right now, or they're a new journeyman, what is the advice that you have for them?
You don't know everything. Never be ashamed to admit that you were wrong or to admit that you didn't know something, because here's the thing, and whether you agree or disagree with me, that's neither here nor there. In my opinion, if you are honest with your students in a given moment and say, "Hey, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'm going to get you that answer. Or say maybe you misinformed the class on something in the last class, and you start by saying, hey guys, I want to take a moment to correct myself. In my opinion, that increases your credibility as an instructor, because if you are always Mr. Right, Mr. I know everything, blah, 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 to me, eventually I'm going to think you're full of shit. Pardon my French, but...
And it makes the learning stop.
I feel like if you are the type of person where you hold yourself accountable and you're real, that increases your credibility in my eyes. Like if I'm your student, I respect you more if you are humble enough to admit that you don't know everything.
Yeah. And I would add to that, be comfortable being found wrong.
Yes.
Well, brother, I just want to say you're doing a really great job. It's
I
great
appreciate
to meet you here and kind of experience the childlike wonder with which you seem to pursue.
Dude, that really does mean a lot. I'm trying not to fanboy right now, but it's like you
Just a dude, man.
I feel like I'm the same way too, where I tell people like I'm just a dumbass with an iPhone and a dry erase board, and I make videos in my garage, and that's what I do. But
yeah, just man, like we need a lot more good influences for these kids to look up to, and that's why I wanted to sit down and actually meet you and get to know you, because I can tell your character. I can tell you're a good human being and that you actually care about these kids and you want to do something, and that you've gained from this whole experience of being an electrician and you want to give back, and it's just see-through with you. So
it was great to meet you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on here. It really means a lot. Like I said, your content was a big part of my apprenticeship, just on the side, trying to get a better understanding of everything, and having the opportunity to shake your hand and like personally thank you, extend that debt of gratitude for everything that you've done for our industry. It means a lot. So
all right, I'm gonna be watching in the comment section of all your videos. All right, I'll be very harsh.
All right, hey, hold me accountable.
I will be respectful, and I will approach you as a professional.
No, but hold me accountable though.
Yeah, but I also want to see you do well, and I think that there are some people out in the industry that make it really hard for people to want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
We're in a really hateful place in our society where the comment sections of some things that happen in the world, it just shows you who's in this world. And again, just keep your head up with everything, keep pushing forward. I think you're doing a killer job.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
All right, so if any of you out there don't follow him, you definitely should follow him. He's just actually a good human being. He's kind, he's humble, he's respectful. He understands the nature of being a teacher versus being a student, and actually wants to do good in this world. And I just want to use my platform to promote that. So y'all go check him out, give him a follow.